So guys, I know I might be a bit late in posting this video since The Dentist has already been released in the gacha by now. However, for the past several days, I've been fascinated by his story because it involves the theme of bullying, something I really want to dive deep into. Now, I know that The Dentist's backstory is quite complicated and feels somewhat contradictory with what we already know about Sacred Heart Hospital. Because of that, I want to set some clear boundaries for this analysis. First, in this video, I'll assume that the dentist, Finsen Hunter, is the person with the initials BA in Leo Beck's letter. Second, this analysis will somewhat bypass the original lore about Sacred Heart Hospital. Here, I will focus on the characterization of the dentist himself, based on my own understanding, which might differ from yours. So if you have additional context or different interpretations, feel free to share them in the comments. Before we dive in, let me first explain the boundaries I've set for this analysis to avoid any misunderstandings later. First, I assume that the dentist, Finsen Hunter, is the one writing Leo Beck's third letter, as well as the person referred to by the initials BA in Leo's fourth letter, whom I believe was written by Orpheus. This assumption is based on the fact that Finsen seems to work alone while secretly experimenting with phototherapy. His experiments were risky and might even have been illegal, as mentioned in his backstory, Leo Beck's letters, and his deduction quests. Furthermore, there's a theory that the initials BA in Leo's letter might stand for business associate, meaning the fourth letter was Orpheus addressing Finsen as his business partner. It's a bit of a stretch, but I believe it's still a possibility. Second, as for the timeline, I really can't say much because the old Sacred Heart Hospital lore mentions that the hospital was renovated in 1840, while Leo Beck's experiments began in 1887 and Game 4 took place in 1899. Finsen had already been working there for some time when the renovation began. Additionally, Leo had been experimented on for 10 years and was leased to the manor in 1897 before being returned in 1899 after being deemed a failed experiment. This creates a confusing timeline for Finsen, as it implies he had been working at the hospital for over 50 years, while in his fifth deduction quest he is described as a young doctor. That's why I'm going to bypass this timeline discrepancy for now, since there's no clear answer yet. In any case, my interpretation might be wrong, but as always, feel free to share your thoughts so we can all gain a better understanding of his lore. Again, I want to emphasize that I will focus mainly on how Finsen is characterized throughout his lore, while setting aside these confusing timeline details. Finsen's tragedy began the moment he was born, when he was diagnosed with a condition called congenital insensitivity to pain. This syndrome makes a person unable to feel any pain or temperature, which can be quite dangerous because pain serves as a warning signal that something is wrong with the body. This condition is genetic and present from birth. Finsen's father was a dentist based in Glasgow, Scotland. His wife died while Finsen was still a young child, and since his father had a quiet personality, Finsen grew up to be introverted and quiet as well. From a young age, he was fascinated by the tools his father used during dental procedures, especially the lens. Through it, he could see how deformed people were. Having a rare syndrome combined with an introverted personality made him appear strange to others. As a result, little Finsen was often bullied by those who saw him as a freak. From his backstory video, we can tell that even though the bullying didn't hurt him physically, it still hurt him emotionally. During one bullying incident, Finsen tried to fight back and accidentally smashed a water tank. A shard from the tank cut his right eye, an event that can also be seen in his deduction quest. From that moment on, Finsen developed a deep fear of swamps. According to his design notes, the swamp became a recurring element in his nightmares, haunting him well into adulthood. As he grew into a young adult, Finsen moved to England to continue his studies and attend medical school. By this time, He already had a gloomy personality. After witnessing another student being bullied in medical school, he came to believe that the world is full of evil and that survival of the fittest is the only truth. This belief became his guiding principle for many years. You can see this clearly in both his backstory and design notes. Eventually, Finsen secured a job at Sacred Heart Hospital, where he worked as a dentist for years. During this time, he strongly advocated for the use of phototherapy in medicine. He believed this practice would greatly benefit the medical world, and he was willing to fight to prove it, no matter the cost. Now, the phrase, "no matter the cost," is what makes his research feel questionable. In his backstory, it is even stated that the practice seems full of sin and deceit. However, I'm not entirely sure if this means Finsen went as far as performing illegal procedures, such as abducting patients, especially because it somewhat contradicts parts of his theme song. I think the answer to this remains to be seen in future lore drops. For now, this part remains ambiguous to me. Continuing his story, sometime in December 1887, an unknown group of people brought Finsen a certain human body. This body, already badly charred, belonged to none other than Leo Beck. Leo had previously tried to burn down his own factory and himself following the Minerva Arms incident, yet somehow he survived. After being kidnapped by mysterious people, he was delivered to Finsen as an experimental subject. Finsen experimented on Leo in secret. It is unknown whether the hospital was closed during this time, or if he simply hid his experiments as well as Leo from the public. The experiment lasted for 10 years, until finally, in 1897, Finsen was forced to lend Leo Beck to the Olatus Manor owner. I believe that part of his decision came from the investigations into Leo Beck that were getting too close, and that the Olatus Manor promised to get rid of the evidence regarding the patient's disappearance at Sacred Heart Hospital. Again, this indicates that Finsen's experiment might have involved using other people as test subjects. But until further revelations emerge, I cannot say for sure, especially since Finsen's theme song suggests that he was wrongly accused of the patient's disappearance. Continuing this, Leo Beck was sent to the manor in 1897. In 1899, he participated in Game 4, but failed to meet expectations due to a partial emotional recovery. Several attempts were made to subdue Leo, all of which were in vain, forcing the manor to incinerate him. Meanwhile, during this time, Finsen continued to interact with the children in the ward he managed. As a dentist, he became popular with the kids, and somehow this had a positive effect on his personality. Spending time with the children and seeing how naive yet innocent they were seemed to open up Finsen's heart. Like snow slowly falling to the ground, they eventually filled the emptiness within him. Various sources indicate that Finsen, who once felt detached from the world and saw everything as nothing but survival of the fittest, began to see the world differently because of the children. Perhaps making them happy made him realize that even with how crooked his mind was, he was still someone the children admired. That even if the world is full of evil, there are still some good things left that can make him happy. At least, that is the interpretation I lean toward. After Game 4, the manor returned Leo Beck to Finsen, referring to themselves as the loyal collaborator and to Finsen as B.A. While returning Leo, the manor also ensured that all evidence of the missing patients in the hospital was destroyed. Still, rumors began circulating that the hospital was discharging people without any increase in official records. In other words, patients were going missing. Things took a darker turn when a night staff member claimed to have seen Finsen dragging large amounts of garbage to the swamp during the night. At the same time, Finsen's experiment was also making progress. The climax, however, came when a certain novelist wrote a story serialized in the newspaper. That novel, titled Asclepius, vanished in the swamp, led people to suspect Finsen as the one responsible for the disappearance of the patients in the hospital. Soon after, another patient went missing, and people began to lose control. They gathered at the hospital, raiding the place and demanding revenge against Finsen. Finsen, now someone who deeply cared for the children under his watch, chose not to flee from the angry mob. Seeing how terrified the children were, he hid them and comforted them with a smile before accepting his fate. The mob, already enraged and influenced by the novel, wasted no time in passing judgment. They threw Finsen into the swamp, ending his life. What happened afterward can be inferred from the hide-and-seek game mode backstory. It is said that the hospital was later abandoned and eventually became a place where children would play. Their parents, some of whom might have known the horrific history of the hospital, began spreading a legend about an evil dentist who haunted the place, discouraging children from going there. To tell you the truth, Finsen's story leaves many things unanswered, which makes me confused and even annoyed at how contradictory it feels with everything we have known so far. However, just like I said at the beginning of this analysis, that is not my focus here. Instead, there are things that I find beautiful, or rather meaningful, in his overall lore. First, his story shows that someone who does not feel pain does not mean they cannot feel anything emotionally. Finsen, being numb to pain due to his condition, still felt hurt emotionally by the bullying he experienced. Just because he does not show pain does not mean he is not in pain. And if we reflect on this in our daily lives, there are things we can relate to, especially when it comes to social media and its power to make people anonymous, allowing them to harass others. The person being harassed might not show any pain at all, but the emotional pain is there, and it is real. In this era, where technology and anonymity hold so much power, bullying has taken a new form, not through physical abuse, but through verbal attacks. And yet, there are still people who seem unaware that verbal abuse can be just as dangerous as physical harm. Similar to Finsen, who even though he does not feel physical pain, is still hurt emotionally. His lore also shows us how powerful words can be. Through words, the novelist Orpheus was able to influence others to think in a certain way. I would even go as far as saying that it was Orpheus who led to Finsen's death, whether directly or indirectly. In this society, it is often easier to judge and criticize others rather than seek the truth. The same applies to Finsen's story. Because Orpheus wrote something that seemed to validate people's feelings, whether it was the truth or not, it ultimately led to someone losing his life. The most fascinating part, however, is that his story tells us that no darkness lasts forever. Finsen, who grew up with darkness filling his heart, resentful and hopeless about humanity, eventually found meaning in his life after spending time with the children. To this, I would say that life itself is beautiful, and that fate always finds its own mysterious way to give people happiness. It is not always in the way we hoped for, but surely in a way that makes us feel content. In Finsen's design notes, the developers clearly state that he sees people as evil. But to that, I want to ask one thing. If he truly saw everything in this world as evil, then why did he keep living? Sometimes I feel that way too, seeing the world as something that could crush me, feeling like nothing is kind, like tomorrow will be the same or even worse. And yet, I cannot do anything else but keep on going. I try to find the answer myself, and for now, the best answer I have is this. I believe that one day, every darkness in my little world will pass. I do not know how, when, or where, but if I stop now, I will never see the light, and I want to see that light, so I keep moving forward. And that is what I believe Finsen went through. Even when the developers say that he sees everyone as evil, perhaps deep down, he still clung to hope that one day things would be better. This is shown through his persistence in researching phototherapy. He wanted to help people, even when he believed they are evil. And yet, the better days he was searching for did not come from his research, but from the laughter of the children under his care. This teaches us something important. Sometimes we do not know where our happiness lies. We struggle and try so hard to escape the pain in the ways we believe in, yet life has its own way of bringing us something better. as long as we keep going, even if it's just for one more day. There is still so much more to take from Finsen's story, but I think I have said enough for now, especially since his story is far from over. We will eventually receive more through his birthday letters, so for now, let us wait and see how everything unfolds. In the end, I want to share a line written by Victor Hugo in his book, Les Miserables. Even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise. Thanks for staying with me, and see you next time.